Okay. Ready to do my awards here. I got, I don't know, somewhere around a dozen awards. Alright, starting from the bottom, we got worst decision of the year. Personally, I don't think this is actually the literally technical worst decision, but of course it caused the most outcry and, you know, bitching and complaining, basically. Michael Bisping defeating Matt Hamill by split decision in a what was not a one-sided fight, but a lot of people, of course, including myself, thought Hamill won, but I'll leave it at that. Threw this one in here. Worst line by a fighter of the year. And that would be Frank Shamrock's "Do you think you're ready for the Shamrock?" That was just gay. But anyways. Best line was BJ Penn. I'm not sure if this was actually said in 2007 for the record. I don't know when, because I mean it was filmed earlier, but I think it was 2007. BJ Penn's "What is this National Geographic when Kate Rudiger is lying naked by the poolside on Tough 5. The fallen star of the year is Mirko Cro Cop Filipovic. I mean, who would have thought we would have seen him get knocked out by Gabriel Gonzaga, get kind of not dominated but beaten by Czech Congo, a guy who plays right into his strengths. Truly a bad year for him. Maybe he'll come back, maybe not. The rising star would be Yoshihiro Akiyama. Not a lot of people know this guy, but he just recently knocked out Dennis Kang, which I think, in my opinion, really brought him on the scene. He was on the scene, and that kind of solidified his spot, because Dennis Kang is no slouch. He's a very good fighter, and we got him to knock him out. And look for big things for Akiyama in the future. Very good grappler. He's got some good striking. He's got good speed, just tremendously athletic and strong. Most overrated fighter of the year, I'm going to give this to Houston Alexander, although people aren't talking about it now. Of course, he was treated as the second coming of Chuck Liddell when he first knocked out Keith Jardine and then knocked out Alessio Sakara, even though I kept telling people he has no ground game and he doesn't strike right. He takes a lot of his reach away with the way he strikes. He doesn't have a lot of reach to begin with, so knockout power and that's it, basically. Most underrated is, because I haven't heard anything about him getting a title shot, and I think that's kind of ridiculous, is Lyoto Machida, who has beaten Kazuhiro Nakamura. Now, don't quote me on this, I think he's beaten David Heath and Sam Hoger this year. I think those were all this year. Not 100% positive on that. But seriously. Biggest wasted talent award, Fedor Emelianenko fighting in M1, just because this may be the best fighter in the world, and he's fighting in M1, which has no other recognizable names at heavyweight outside of course, they're rumored to be signing his teammates Roman Zensov and Alexander Emelianenko to long-term contracts, but they won't fight Fedor. So, I mean, unless they start bringing in Sergey Kharitonov and Semi Shield, I mean, it would be a huge waste of his talent. Biggest bonehead of the year, I'm giving this to the California State Athletic Commission for two reasons. One, no contesting Takanori Gomi versus Nick Diaz because of Nick Diaz's pot. Suspend him and everything because it's an illegal substance, but no contesting the fight is really ridiculous because they didn't no contest Josh Barnett beating Randy, and that had steroids. Also, the whole thing about Sean Shirk's steroids and Phil Baroni steroids, losing fighters' paperwork. CSAC gets my biggest bonehead of the year award. Biggest upset of the year, Ramon Thierry Sokoju versus Antonio Rogerio Nogueira. This is a huge upset because no one knew who Sokoju was before this. I mean, the only fight we really had seen him was against Glover Texahara, and he lost horribly. Well, not horribly, but he lost. And he knocked out Nog, which is first to me. No one's knocked a Nog out. Rogerio's was never been stopped. All his losses were via decision. I mean, and to very, very high level competition. I mean, just that loss was just ridiculous. It was amazing. People are going to flame me and say, well, GSP Sarah should be. Well, these people had Sarah possibly winning the fight. Almost said by submission, not by knockout, but still, you get where I'm going with this. Sokoju came out of like literally nowhere. Most improved fighter of the year. I'm going to give this one to Quentin Rampage Jackson just because at the end of 2006, people were questioning Rampage after he like barely beat Lindland. Some people say he lost to Lindland, a blown up 185er. That he was done and he had lost his edge. He came back, he beat Marvin Eastman, he beat Chuck Liddell, and he beat Dan Henderson. I mean, what more can I say about that? He's unified the Pride and UFC title. I put most improved fighter of the year easily. Fighter of the year, I went back and forth on this one between Rampage and Anderson Silva. I eventually decided on Rampage because he was nowhere at the end of 2006 where Silva was the champion at the end of 2006. So I think his climactic raid is a bit more. I'm also going to give you comeback of the year. That's definitely Randy Couture coming back and beating Tim Sylvia and Gabriel Gonzaga. I mean, that's huge. That's massive the way that happened. I mean, he's aging and all that, and he comes back and he dominates Tim Sylvia, and he dominates Randy Couture, or not Randy Couture, Gabriel Gonzaga. That's pretty freaking amazing. Okay, knockout of the year, Ross Mason getting knocked out by the flying knee by Marius Zambrowskis. It's a cage rage fight. I don't know where you can find it because unfortunately YouTube and Daily Motion seem not to have it. So like I said, down the card if it's somewhere on a torrent or something. But this was a phenomenal fight. It was a big candidate for my fight of the year, but I did not go with it. We'll get to that later. But it does get my knockout of the year. It is the only cage rage fight to get an award here, I think. Pretty sure, yeah. It would be. Submission of the year, Nick Diaz, Gogo plotting of Takanori Gomi. Kind of says it herself. I mean, Gogo plot is incredibly rare. I can only think of 4 off the top of my head. Aoki Gogoing Joachim Hansen, and Brad Imes recently has Gogo plotted Bo Cantrell and someone else. This is possibly the best lightweight in the world in Gomi, and he gets Gogo by Nick Diaz, who at this point didn't have a lot of stock value. Fight of the year, there were a lot of candidates for this. I went back and forth a lot. In the end, I went to some of the more casual fans that I watch fights with. What fight did you enjoy the most? What had the broadest range of people who liked it? And in the end, we got Tyson Griffin versus Frankie Edgar. Phenomenal fight. It's my fight of the year. I pondered Ross Mason, Zambrowskis on this one. I pondered even Clay Guida, Tyson Griffin. I pondered quite a few other fights actually, but in the end, it seems somewhat fitting that this goes to Tyson Griffin and Frank Edgar, 2 guys who have a big future in the UFC. Well, Edgar does. I'm not sure about Tyson Griffin. I think we'll see how he deals with Gleison Tibau in his next fight. We'll see. That's it for the awards. If you want my opinion on anything else, I mean, just message me or comment on the video, because I'll get back to that pretty quick, because kind of snowed in. It's not all that fun. Not a lot to do, but anyways, that's my opinions. If the other MMA guys like Miz and Chase and Jeremy and Beck, maybe even the Fat UFC Critic get involved and we come up with categories, I guess consider these my votes, and then I'll override them with an awards video about that, and I'll get the fans to vote. Also, fans, you can message me with your votes, and if I get enough votes, I'm going to do a video about that. What do my subscribers think were the awards? Take those categories and roll with it. Anyways, later.